How's it going, guys? I got some post-narrated Showdown for you, but before I start narrating, I'm going to remind you about the link thing that I've been doing all week and will be doing until the 26th. It is in the description. It takes a second to vote, no account necessary. Go and do that. Please, you will definitely make my life a lot better just by following through with that, especially if I end up winning. So, I do have a couple of games for you guys, and they're using a sand team that I put together this morning. I was like, you know what? I've never used Stoutland. I've never really used Sigilyph on a sand team, and I've never really used Special Landorus. Now, what scenario would they work well together? I figured let's slap a T-Tar on there. We'll put a Gastro because I have a little bit of a water weakness, and we'll see how it works. It was working out okay for the most part. I know this team is not nearly the best at all, but I had some fun with it. I had like 3 games with it, which is why, hey, you know what? I figure I might as well go with it. So, I let off with my T-Tar first because I was like, okay, you know what? Even if he leads off with this Politoed first as well, I want to be able to get chip damage on stuff in case it doesn't have lefties, and I also want to just have my weather up to coax this Politoed in sooner. So, that whole thing right there that happened with Sigilyph, I knew I was setting up prematurely, but I knew he was just going to end up switching out immediately after. I just really wanted to coax out the baboooom, and I figured, you know what? The only hazards I'm really seeing that he might set up are possibly Stealth Rock with Rachi, and then Toxic Spikes with Tentacruel, but that's really about it. So in this case, I don't really care if my spinner's asleep, because most of the attackers he has on his side of the team are special, barring, you know, baboooom and then possibly Jirachi. I don't know what kind of variant it is, but the fact that I see it on a rain team, it could just be like a Calm Mind, Thunder, Water Pulse kind of thing. So misses the Toxic there. I forget how game-changing that was. I don't really think it was very, to be completely honest. He tries to go for it again. It's like, okay, you know what? I might as well just go into this thing. This is a max speed F Sigilyph, so I know I should be able to take a Scald reasonably well if he wants to try to predict that too. And then I ended up switching into my T-Tar, I believe, on the double. And right here, I go for the rocks first because I know he's probably going to want to counter. So just because, you know, go for a crunch on a Wobbuffet, I'm not going to go for a crunch on a Wobbuffet at that range. No way. So right there, he finally counters again. I really thought he encored right there again for some reason, but this kind of minimizes the amount of damage I'm going to take overall, because if I pursued right here, or what did I end up doing? I think I ended up going for Stealth Rock again, thinking that he was going to Destiny Bond. I believe that was my thought process right there. So, no, I did not try to get double Stealth Rocks up. There was just something else that crossed my mind. He just ends up hard switching, despite the fact that I was going for Pursuit. So, yeah, whatever. Okay. Go into Gastro as he ends up switching into his Wobbuffet. Don't know if he meant to do that, but it would have died to Burn and Sand and Stealth Rocks anyway, so we're doing all right. Bullet Seed kind of hurts me a little bit, but not really, just because, you know, whatever, it's unboosted and stuff, and yeah, so goes for another one. I think he gets a crit on one of these. No, he doesn't. He's getting a bunch of 2 hits, which I'm actually really thankful for, just because I'm able to get off a Roost. And then I think from here I am able to, oh, that crit right there scared me, but a bunch of 2-turners, so I just get to go for Psycho Shift right here. I could have kept just going for Roost, but I didn't want to risk anything that didn't really need to happen. So gets a crit on that Bullet Seed. If he had gotten 3 bullet, he got a bunch of 2-turners, but honestly, if he got a 3-turner right there and that one wasn't a crit, that would have been fine. A 4 or 5 would have taken me out. But Sigilyph's still alive. Like, this thing is really underrated, and I'm just now discovering how fantastic it is. Like, I would kind of say that he is the key player on this team, next to Landorus, and I've used Stoutland maybe a total of like 2 or 3 times, so I don't really know how I feel about it on this team, but it's definitely nice to have something that takes advantage of the weather. But I'm going to go for a superpower right there, predicting the Jirachi to come in, because I thought for sure, because he has a steel type and it's up against a normal type, that's going to be your first thing to go into. But if he predicted my superpower predicting Rachi, it was a very good play. I'm just going to go back out into Sigilyph right now. I'm honestly kind of losing track of what's happening, despite the fact that it's just on normal. But gonna go for a Roost, actually predicting his Perish Song, and then it just kind of turns out that I get blasted by this Hydro Pump. So I'm gonna switch back out into my Gastrodon as he ends up switching up moves, deciding to go for an Ice Beam. I don't know why he switched up to Ice Beam. To be honest, he didn't really have much of a reason to do that in the first place. He could have just, unless he didn't want to miss. I think that's the only thing I was thinking of there. But go out into Stoutland, and I figure I can just go for a return right here, which actually takes out the Tentacruel from that range. I was wondering why Stoutland wasn't used more often, and I looked at its base attack stat, and I was like, oh, that's why. I mean, it's really cool, once you get the stand up, but you either need to slap a choice band on it. It needs some help. That's probably why I don't use it that often. So, gonna go for a roost as the other thing comes in, and Keldeo's still alive. It's probably going to be the biggest problem I have. I need to rock polish with Landorus, or I think I discovered that it's actually a Specs variant, so as long as I have Sigilyph around for Secret Sword and Gastro around for Hydro Pump, I should be fine. That Hydro Pump, on the other hand, that was huge, because that makes it so if he goes for a Hydro Pump right now, he'll bring me down to 30, but if he wants to kill me off right now, he will kill himself off as well. And I know, because I've been asleep for 2 turns, I will wake up next turn, and because he has no ground types left, I will be able to get off a Volt Switch and just go into anything I want to at this point. So, gonna Volt Switch out, I believe, into Landorus. The big problem, I'm running a special one because that's something I wanted to do, and it doesn't take out the Jirachi, and he body slams, but I don't get paralyzed. So, really fortunate in terms of the RNG on this one, but if it wasn't, then I probably wouldn't have saved this one, to be honest. I had a string of luck, I think, where I got critted probably like 4 times in a row. Pokemon Showdown, ladies and gentlemen, that's how it works sometimes. But he ends up trying to get some middle ground right here, or just, you know, maybe show me that, I don't know, he Scarfed and just, no, I don't know, he didn't really need to do that. I think he Specs, because that Icy Wind is doing a little bit too much to a Gastro, of all things. So, goes for 2 Icy Winds, I go for a Recover. And I get a Toxic off on this thing, so that's cool. That's ultimately what I ended up wanting. And now I'm in a position where if he wants to stay in here and Perish Song stall out with that kind of stuff, that's fine. So, I no longer have a use for Fortress, especially because it's that low of HP. And honestly, it's more beneficial for me to just leave it in there and then, or just throw it in there and get an extra turn of toxic damage going. Because now I can Cosmic Power, and look at that. After, that's a rain boosted Hydro Pump coming from a Politoed, and it only did like 44%, so that's pretty cool. End up roosting. I was pretty sure I was going to do that. It was either that or he was going to Perish Song. I can honestly set up in his face all day at this point. And it's at the point where I think Toxic is going to bring him down to a range where I can take him out with a Stored Power. And then Keldeo, I don't think can touch me at 2 times Special Defense. So just going to go for Stored Power. Ends up knocking him out right there. And then the Politoed is going to come in and I believe immediately die to Stealth Rocks and the Stored Power. So that was the end of game 1. Yeah. I think we're just gonna move on here. I had a bit of food stuck in my teeth. Okay, that was probably kind of gross. Anyways, next game? Next game. Okay, so I'm actually on the other side because that's how replays work sometimes, and he's running some weird weatherless team, which weatherless teams I don't really see too often, but hey, do your thing, you know, that's kind of cool. That's 5th gen, that's an option you have right now, but I'm on the other side, so just ignore the whole Rotom Wash thing right there. But misses a Hydro Pump, and I'm realizing I didn't need to risk that when I have a Gastro right now. I just didn't really want to get Will-O-Wisp or something like that. Rotom never carries HP Grass. That's another thing I have to worry about. End up getting a Scald Burn. This is not really that crucial at all, especially because I do have a T-Tar. And if there's one thing that T-Tar loves to do, it's just bitch slap the shit out of Latios, Latias after it Dracos or after it Dragon Pulses. You know how Pursuit goes. It's going to get Pursuit trapped. Except for the fact that he actually stays in and goes for another Draco. Which, I mean, the extra damage is commendable, but it was only like 20%, so whatever. My weather's here to stay in the first place, so I don't really care about it as much. Heatran comes in. I do have a Gastro for this situation, and the only thing I'm fearing right now is getting blasted by an HP Grass. I had that happen earlier this morning, so I don't know how common that is. And I don't really do enough scouting on Heatran anymore, just because I'm so used to just seeing Special Defensive with just Lava Plume. And the offensive variants like always throw me for a loop. And I haven't used Gastrodon in such a long time, so I just really want to use it. But he goes for a Pain Split right there, kind of confirming that he is a, I don't know. I guess we learned already by the lefties that he was a defensive variant. Anyway, so I'm just going to shut up. I thought he might have been Specs just based on the fact that he Hydro Pumped right off the bat first turn, as opposed to like Will-O-Wisping or Volt Switching or, I don't know, doing some kind of other shenanigans that Rotoms do. Anyways, this Espeon was interesting, but just by process of elimination, you could basically figure out what kind of shenanigans it was up to. I know that it's not really going to end up touching me, but the fact that it has Wish and Protect is just like, okay, so there's half his moveset. He's going to have Psychic, and he's going to have a 4th move, for sure. Or he's going to have Psyshock and a 4th move, which means that there is a really good chance that T-Tar can trap this thing if it gets to come in safely. So He's wishing, protecting, and he finds a safe spot to reveal his fourth move, which is Calm Mind. So I'm like, right, okay, I still have a T-Tar. You're not going to be able to touch it, and you're just going to end up getting pursuit tracked by that thing. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to go out to it right now. I personally would have switched right there, predicting something else. No, I would have switched if I was Espeon guy right now, because that was, yeah. Not on this turn, the turn before, because you basically revealed your whole set to me. But it surprisingly doesn't get taken out by the pursuit. I'm not sure if that speaks well on how much he's invested his Espeon in either HP or defense, or poorly on T-Tar stock stats, which I don't think is something you can ever really speak that poorly about. And right there's the HP grass. Wow. Wowie. That scared the hell out of me. But Gastro has been taking HP grasses like, I don't know. It's amazing, but it just ends up dying to close combat. So I was like, oh, shit. Okay, let's use Stoutland in this game. Let's send him out right now and blast him with the superpower. Okay. Scarf Terrakion. You know, that's not a problem anymore. Now that I know that he's definitely faster than a Sandrush Stoutland, I know for a fact that he is Choice Scarf. So I can come in with Sigilyph and honestly just set up from here. Cosmic Power. Just go up for days. You know, I think this Rotom actually turns out to have Discharge as opposed to, or maybe it does have Will-O-Wisp. I don't know, but he has Discharge. It's not doing that much after like 2 Cosmic Powers. It does like 31%. I'm not gonna get paralyzed or anything like that because I have the burn here constantly, and I can just sit here and Toxic Stall him out with sand and all that stuff. God, Magic Guard on this Pokemon is so good. Nothing stops its setup. You don't need to just, I don't know, you don't need to stop except for to roost, and that's only after just regular battle damage. There's no residual damage shipping it out. There's no Leech Seed working with the opponent or anything like that. It's great, but the problem is like the battles before this, I kept getting crit. So I was really scared of like bringing this in, and it was just pretty bad. But Sigilyph doing good at like 87%. And Terrakion is going to go for a Stone Edge, and I'm at like +3, and the Stone Edge only does around half of my remaining HP, something like that. I wasn't paying attention to percentages, but I get a Psycho Shift off. Stone Edge is not going to be enough to take me out at that range either, so I'm just going to go ahead and, you know, do the thing. Just do what Sigilyph does. I'm trying to get up to +6 because I'm going to need it for Jirachi. I normally don't get that greedy, but I have a setup. I might as well go all in at this point. So, gonna go for another Cosmic Power just to get up to like, what is that, +4? And Terrakion's just going for Stone Edges. Eventually it's gonna miss one, and that is what ended up happening right there. So we got that. This next one doesn't crit or anything like that either, so I'm just kind of going with Sigilyph. I'm at +5. If I can live this next turn, I'll be at +6, and I'll roost it off. But of course, because I'm on the defensive, I will get critical hit eventually, which, although is very sad, I do have a Landorus, and he just has a Burn Terrakion out right now. It will die to the end of the turn as well, meaning free fucking Rock Polish. Great, fantastic. So, outspeed the rest of his team. Espeon is definitely going to die to whatever move I so choose to go for, which in this case is just going to be Earth Power, because I don't take any life or recoil from it or anything like that. The other thing I've been learning today is Landorus, under normal circumstances, will fail to take out a special defensive Rachi after it switches in on rocks. I had not learned that lesson yet, but that probably wasn't a special defensive Rachi because it just, bow, it just got blasted, or I just got a high roll. I really don't know what kind of Jirachi that was based on his team, but it came in and died, so that was pretty cool. I got a third game after this, which I think was kind of short in comparison to the other two, but we'll just go with it. So I think I was setting stuff, and then I don't like music in my recording, so whatever. And here we have a Sun team. So I think this is actually me against the opposing 2 weathers. I know there's 4 weathers in total, but I don't see Hail that often. I would like to try this against a Hail team, though. Could be pretty interesting. Now, this fucking Ninetales is weird as shit, and just wow. Okay, so I was like, all right, I'll go into Gastro, and I'll Earth Powered a couple times. We're pretty safe. And then he's that guy. He is that guy that you run into that uses Solar Beam Ninetales. I'm like, fuck. Okay. Did not think that was gonna happen, but okay. So he ends up going for sub, and I'm like, okay, what wild fucking ride am I on right now where this Ninetales has Solar Beam and sub and Toxic? That means his 4th move is gonna have to be like some it's gonna have to be like flamethrower or something like that. So he revealed his moveset in a way that completely crippled my Gastro, and because he has one layer of spikes up, if I don't spin him away, Gastro's basically dead. So in comes Donphan, and honestly, I thought I was gonna lose at this point because I was like, shit, I lost Gastro. I needed Gastro for Donphan to an extent and some other stuff, but I can do more or less okay without him because I mean I have a physically defensive fortress that just got crit. Okay. That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. The fortress is still alive, so I'm just going to blow away the spikes. And I'm just going to go into Sigilyph right here because I know I will have the immunity to the Earthquake, and Ice Shard ain't going to do shit if that's what he has. I have run into some that have Head Smash and Seed Bomb too, but that's a little bit less common. So right there, the explanation for that, I knew he was going to go into Ninetales. I just didn't know whose switch was going to count first. If his switch counted first, then I would have gotten my weather up right off the bat. But my switch counted first because we both doubled for whatever reason. I have no idea how the fucking logic works, but I ended up wasting my Gastro because of it. So let it be known that I did predict that correctly. I just did not think it would turn out that way because I don't know how switch mechanics work on Showdown, whether or not they're actually accurate. I don't think I'll ever get that aggressive with a double concerning weather really ever again, nor am I going to run Sandstorm on T-Tar, so that's probably something you'll never see me do again. And all that build-up just to have Ninetales die like a bitch after going for a Solar Beam that only does like 9%. Wow, that was funny. I lost my Gastro because of it, but I ended up winning the Weather War, so I'm more or less okay with that. Salamence is going to come in. Salamence is just a big fucking problem. I thought he was going to predict my Fortress and go for the Fire Blast, which I stayed in, tried to go for Stone Edge right there. That's fine, so I was like, okay, if he's Scarfed, can go with that. I'll just go into Landers to be locked in on Earthquake, and then it turns out he's not Scarfed, so I can work with this. Just gonna go for an HP Ice, just because, you know, blast the freaking Salamence with Hidden Power, and then just go for an Earth Power right here. Life Orb stalling is pretty pointless to him at this point. I don't understand at this point, after he switched out Salamence, why he did not go, or after he had something die, why he did not go into Skarm immediately after. I mean, he went into this. I just didn't want to take any unnecessary damage with Lando. Skarm would have definitely been an okay option there. Right here, I'm just setting up spikes in hopes that that'll coax him to go for the Rapid Spin because he doesn't want unnecessary damage on his Venusaur, I guess. And I figure, you know what? The only thing... Oh, that right there, that was so that way Landers would have an easier time against Donphan, and so that the Sturdy would always be ruined. So... I'm just going to go for Cosmic Power right here. Turns out he takes the opportunity now while I'm setting up to Rapid Spin, which I don't know how big a fan I am of that play right there. And I'm honestly just going to go in from here. Just go for Cosmic Powers. Man, Sigilyph is such a freaking monster. In a trading card game, it was a mild threat as well. But right there, just shift onto the Ments, and then I believe he is either going to A, miss another Stone Edge, or B, I don't... Oh yeah, his Fire Blast doesn't end up doing nearly enough at all. So it turns out I'm actually more specially defensive than I am physically defensive at this point. And then, yeah, he misses another Stone Edge right there, which it would not really have done... It wouldn't have done as much at that point, so he just... I think he scoops right here. So there it is. I'm pretty sure... Because I won the Weather War, I would have been able to take out the Venusaur with Stoutland or Landorus. It really wasn't that big of a threat at that point. Salamence was burned. Donphan was burned. Venusaur would have come in eventually and died to a stored power. Skarm would... I don't know. I would have dealt with Skarm somehow. It was looking okay. So... That's the end of those 3 Showdown games I had. I'm not sure whether or not I'm actually going to use this team tomorrow. I might use a variant of it because Sigilyph is just such a freaking boss. Oh my god. Okay, so that was the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, you can leave a like, rating, comment, and subscribe, and do your thing. I was super turbo busy yesterday. Don't think I forgot about TCGO. I'm going to be working on that later today and have that for you later tonight. But because of that, I'm going to have Spyro for you on Saturday morning instead. So I am still working on that. Also, if you guys are still here and you forgot to do the voting thing in the description, in the link in the description, please go do that. It literally does take less than a second if your internet likes loading pages that quickly. But you click the link and then you click the vote button. You do it once a day and you basically ensure that I win. So it's awesome and it's great times for me. So I think that should do it for this Showdown video, and I will see you guys probably a little bit later tonight or tomorrow, whatever episode you tune in for. I got content coming for you, so see you guys later.